All right, welcome to another 2021 MLB Draft Show. Tonight we are joined by another West Coaster, Cali boy. We got Thatcher Hurd in the house. Thatcher, what's going on, man?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And, we've followed you a lot through the summer. You came into PG National, you're more of a catcher than you were a pitcher. And then you come out, it's kind of like Jackson Joe, where you just came out and you're now one of the better arms on the prep side in this class. So, kind of just talk to me through that whole PG National experience and the transition that you've made over to pitching.
Yeah, PG National is probably the most fun event this summer for me, honestly. Just coming out of quarantine and be able to get on the bump again, and that's like an event I always really look forward to going to, like since freshman year. Just so it's pretty much a dream come true when I got the invite for that, and I was a lot of mental preparation went into that in terms of like visualizing and just kind of seeing myself out there on the mound, and really over the lockdown quarantine, kind of knew we weren't going back. So it was just like a one big development period for me and my brother. We had access to a whole facility. This pitching coach named Jason Zaccani from Northern California, before we made the move down south, he gave us the key to his facility. So, I mean, we were spending most of our day there, and it was all kind of tailored to coming out to PG National and giving my best shot out there. So that was awesome. But just that whole process was getting into pitching, and I honestly didn't really know what to expect going out there, like in terms of velocity or command or what it was going to do. So that was awesome.
I mean, you kind of glossed over the fact that you were a catcher. I mean, most people had you as a catcher. You were committed to college as a catcher, and then you kind of come in to PG National, blow everyone's socks off with, 94, 95, big spin breaking ball. When did you know that, maybe I'm an arm?
Yeah, really. So I was catching all throughout high school, and I only got to throw three or four innings in high school, just because I was catching every game. There was no other catchers, and I was solid defensively. So just like I said, over the quarantine, that was like such a big development period, and like it was so ideal as a transition from catching to pitching, because that's where like I got to make a lot of my mistakes and really lock in my breaking balls and my command. So kind of over there, that's what I knew, and I just started really gravitating toward it from catching, and like really just fell in love with it. So I mean, honestly, like this is a hot take, but like quarantine was the best thing that could happen to me, and like the lockdown, and because it was just like I feel like the way me and my brother went about it, it was just like tailored to developing and just getting on the mound in like a super controlled environment and being able to make the mistakes and throw like 10 terrible breakers in a row or not find the strike zone. And just like that was huge for me. So over the lockdown was huge for me, just kind of making that transition.
Love that.
Right. Yeah, it's like with quarantine for everyone. You got that, you have that one spot where it's just like, well, I got nothing to do. Let's just go out and try this and do all that. So that's awesome to hear. Of course, as you went through the summer, you did multiple other events. I saw you at Area Code, and then, of course, when you're down at Jupiter. And what sucks about Area Code is when I saw you pitch, I'm pretty sure it was Eric Silva you were up against. The TrackMan went down, so we couldn't get numbers on you, which kind of sucked. But that outing was really, really good. And then you came out to Jupiter, and, if I'm wrong here, correct me. I think they had the raw spin numbers for your fastball up to 2,800 and your slider was 33. Were you expecting that at all by any chance?
Yeah, I had an idea that my spin was pretty high, like raw spin. And like I picked up, I'd heard from my advisor that in Arizona, the dry desert air that makes the ball spin less. And then when you get to the humidity and the damp air, that like has more of a downward. I'm not really sure. I'm not a big science guy, but I know that it did have something to do with, but also like for spin rate for me, I think the biggest thing was extension and finger pressure, are something I'm super emphasis on, and especially with my breaking balls. So it just felt good. I was just really trying to rip down through the catcher and The first thing, my slider was really bad because I was kind of rushed, and I wasn't obviously with California kid, not used to the Florida swampiness whatsoever. So, I mean, the ball was just really popping out. So it was big for me to just rip down on the catcher and stay on top. And I think that definitely had something to do with it. But I mean, that was great to see, and I'm glad, I think it's where my spin was definitely highest. And, I don't really attribute to anything special. Just, it was one of those outings, and kind of all came together at the end.
Not a bad outing to do that in front of a bunch of scouts and one of the bigger showcases of the summer, one of the biggest tournaments against some of the best players in the country. I feel like we didn't do you enough justice at the beginning of the show and just kind of open the floor to you. I mean, you're a high school pitcher, so prospective fan bases probably haven't seen you on TV, for example. So why don't you kind of tell our viewers, tell prospective fan bases that are interested in maybe drafting you next July, what kind of a person and what kind of a pitcher Thatcher Hurd is?
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, I really pride myself on being a hard worker, and I certainly hope that like my peers feel the same about that, and I try to put that as something I really pride myself on. And I think that's kind of what helped accelerate my development in pitching. But as a pitcher, I'm super big on command and changing eye levels and going after hitters. And right now, I don't think my velocity is a finished product, and it's not a huge focus or something I'm super concerned on because I think it's coming. But I just think learning to pitch right now and going after guys. I like to spin the ball a lot. I'll throw you my changeup. I'll change eye levels. So some guys I really look up to are Bieber and Jack Flaherty. And those are kind of guys that model my game after, those type of pitchers. So just a pitcher that doesn't rely all on his stuff, but I'm big on command of the baseball and really going after hitters. I don't want to walk guys ever. So just like as a vague background as me as a pitcher and what I try to accomplish. And I guess just the biggest thing for me is I want to be known as someone that just works hard and gets after it.
Really quickly, I'll throw a timestamp on this. We've got December 22nd, 2020. So nowhere close to being a finished product, but tell the viewers your full arsenal, what you throw, give us velos, and if you can, kind of ballpark spin rates on all your pitches.
For sure. So I got a ball, which works out nicely.
Nice.
So my four seam right here. I keep the horseshoe on the outside of my middle finger. And something I've really been focusing on after the summer, after the fact, is really staying behind it and just ripping behind it. And what that's going to do is clean up spin efficiency and get that vertical ride that's so big. I was playing catch with Jared Karros, who's in the rotation at UCLA now. And just something I noticed that just popped to me was how much all of his stuff played off the same plane. He had a big ride guy, like 22 inches of run, which is insane. Right over the top curveball, and his changeup is right down, and it all plays out of the same slot. So that's something that I think is pretty effective, and that'll be something going forward that I focus on. So with my fastball, throwing the clean fuegos, I know those aren't super popular yet, but just something to really help spin direction and stay behind the ball and just like cleaning up that spin efficiency, and that'll just miss bats even more. And I throw my two seam like this. I tuck my thumb. Something I learned from catching, just to kind of stay behind it more. That's something, like I said already, I'm super big on, and stay with the true spin. And I like to keep the finger pressure on my fingertips, and I'll spread it a little bit if I want to sink it a little more. I just think it's really important to give a bunch of different looks. I think that's like the more looks you can give, that's better. I mean, you're going to face guys as a starter 3 times through, so I think that's huge. And then my breaker, this is what I spend the most time on in quarantine. So it's a little different of a grip. With my finger like that. And I have pretty big hands, so it's super deep in my hand. And that's another thing that like why I have good spin rate is it's really deep in my hand, and I rip it and I just throw it hard and try to cut the catcher in half with my middle finger. Then my slider, it's pretty similar grip. It's a lot like my curveball minus this. So I spread it out a little more if I want to throw it harder, but all the pressure is right here and here, and I just rip it into the catcher's back foot because I think it's good to get depth on both pitches, so I'm not just having like a 82-mile-an-hour cutter because that doesn't really play. So just and I really want to have two distinct breaking balls, so that's important for me. And my changeup, I think it's making some good strides. I think it'll be important for me to have that fourth pitch. But right here, and I just kind of want to take the middle finger out of it and just sell it like a fastball. The biggest thing is take the speed off into deception, and that's an effective changeup. And if I get that dive and that turnover, that's great too. So just really, I spent a lot of attention to detail on them, and I think it's good. So I think these are some grips that I feel solid with, and I don't want to mess with too much.
Okay, I got a question on that changeup because that's a fun grip. Are you letting the pointer finger hang off of that pitch? Because I've seen other people do that. Some people really tuck it. Where are we here? Some people really tuck it, and it looked like you were just kind of letting it hang off of the ball, so these two fingers would do all the work.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it just really never felt comfortable to have it like this. I would kind of always spike it, or it would just pop out. So I just like the pressure right here a little bit. But I mean, I think about it with these two, and I heard Pedro. He said he takes a middle finger. Like you look at his pictures, and it's literally off it, which is crazy to me. But like you said, just like my ring finger and this finger are all part of it. But just I think it's really what's comfortable in your hand because, like I said, making that circle never felt comfortable to me, even though that's a circle changeup. So I guess this would be right in the middle. So I guess I do have like pretty unorthodox grips with my curveball and changeup because like showing people this, no one else throws this, but like that's trying to find the best of both worlds between this and a spike, and that never felt comfortable to me.
Well, when you got big hands, I mean, you can kind of alter things up a little bit because you have a different look than most other people do. How about spin rates? And then if you could, if you know the IVB on your fastball, let us have it, man. We're into that junk.
Yeah, me too, man. It's like I feel like that stuff is so fun, and I love learning about that. So, if a good day, I'll get 20 inches of ride. I want more, obviously. I think that's the way pitching is going, where it's more north to south and tunneling, like I mentioned. But 17 to 20, that's where I want it. That's usually where it is for the four seam. Honestly, couldn't tell you the vertical or horizontal run on the two seam. Or the curveball numbers like in IVB. Sorry guys, like I only know the spin rates for my breakers. That's something like it's one thing to be on the Rhapsody, but the next thing is like knowing what it means, and that like comes kind of in that process. So curveball is usually 27, 2900. Sliders usually higher spin. It's usually 29, 3000, 3100 usually in most of my pens, and 33 is a great day. So and then change, it's usually I want to say 17, 19 range, maybe a little lower. I think that's from turning it over. But I think those are ballpark numbers. I know that's not super thorough, but, I don't have Rapsodo reports next to me or anything. So, but I think those spin rates are pretty accurate for all of them. And, that's what I got for you guys.
I think I can speak for everyone when I say that was fun. You got great stuff, man.
Thank you.
Dude, I loved all that. Joe also took my question on the fastball, and I was going to ask that as well.
Sorry, man. I got really involved.
No, you're good. I mean, now I know how to throw a changeup in my next bullpen session, so that's all that matters to me. So I did want to talk to you about school because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you switched from, if I pronounce this wrong, Alkalines to Miracosta, if I remember correctly. Was there a reason behind that? Was it just better competition or just a better fit for you?
Yeah, so we moved from NorCal near Berkeley up north and then to Manhattan Beach, which is like 20 minutes from that city of LA. So we were going to make this move like pre-COVID and everything just because my brother, he's a lefty pitcher at LMU. He's a freshman, and that's like 10 minutes from us. My parents just wanted to move down here in general when we were out of the house and in college or whatnot. And just like you said, there is good baseball down there. We didn't totally keep that out of the factor. Like baseball is good down here, and I noticed that from scout ball and everything. So it was just like a good move for us, and like there wasn't any specific reason. Just wasn't getting away from anything or anything like that. Just it was a good move, and I'm glad we moved. I really liked living down here, even though COVID threw a wrench and everything. But in terms of like competition and like developing baseball players down here, it's NorCal baseball is great, but like I think they'd all agree it's SoCal baseball is really good. and just like the amount of kids there are that are good. I've seen scout ball just, every week I'm facing really good players, and the amount of, I noticed like facilities where I to work out at, and there's just so much more than NorCal, honestly, just from being in both areas. So yeah, I think it's been really good moving down here though.
Awesome. Yeah, let's say SoCal is probably, Joe could probably agree with this, probably the best part of the nation in terms of, talent coming in and out of this part of the country. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a West Coaster too. I'm up in Seattle, but I've made it down to California quite a bit. And yeah, SoCal, there's some pockets in SoCal that are absolutely stacked. So
yeah, I'm actually out of I think the Trinity League is with like Jay Sarah and all. I'm out of that league, unfortunately. I'm not in that, but just I'm not bashing NorCal at all. There was really good baseball. Like we played them in area codes last year. The Brewers playing the A's. I was on the A's this summer, and they destroyed us both summers. So it's like that kind of speaks for itself, and just
I know it kind of. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but the NorCal leagues, the talent is just dispersed more. It's just more spread out.
So true.
But like you said, you get down into the Trinity League, you talk to Jay Sarah, you talk to some of those schools, and it's just, especially there's way more private schools down there. They're just loaded. I mean, there's some real powerhouses down there that can compete nationally. So we've covered so much. I want to continue to dive in. I want to be respectful of your time as well. Talk to us a little bit about, so you've come a long ways from June to December. You got a similar time period now from December to next July. Things are a little bit slowing down right now, but where do you want to be in May, in June? Where do you want your velo to be? Or maybe even aside from velo, what are some of your goals as a pitcher?
Yeah. So velo, I want to throw 100 at some point. That'd be great. So I can't, but I know velo's not linear at all. So, a goal for mine is 95 this year. I think that's pretty within reach. But I'm not having Zooms with teams and talking to my pitching coach, and velo, it's going to come, and I'm just trusting it. And I think that I don't throw super hard right now. It's benefiting me just learning how to pitch. But the biggest thing for me is quality within the strike zone and commanding the ball. And I think that'll take me where I need to be. So I'll think of an actual number and talk with my coach about it when the season comes. But I don't want any walks. Walks would be huge for me if I can cut those out as much as I can. And just a goal would be just quality within the zone, and that's something I can reflect on in each of my starts. But just really command within the zone and getting ahead of guys. That's something I noticed was huge in the summer and fall. Just when you get ahead of guys, it completely changes the at bat. And just showing, third time through the order, deep in outings, that I can hold my velo and keep my command and keep landing the breaking balls. And so I know that's a pretty broad answer, but just my biggest thing would be command and keeping the walks down. That's huge for me.
All right, I got one more baseball question for you, and then Tyler, I think we just have to cut it. I mean, we're going on close to 20 minutes with Thatcher. You're one of the more engaging interviews we've had. I gotta ask, what sort of training are you taking part in? Because everyone's different, and I know especially these West Coasters. I'm a West Coaster. We train a little bit differently than the South and the East Coast. How are you looking to are you looking to grow muscle? Are you looking to stay flexible? What's your training routine look like?
Yeah, so I trained with a guy who's really good down here named Josh Wright. He was the Canes. I didn't play with the Canes, but he was the Canes trainer. And that's been pretty awesome. I think I've seen some noticeable jumps. And I've put on 5 pounds since summer. So I'm right around 208 now. And just he's baseball specific. He was a pitcher. So just stuff that kind of keeps you from falling off your face, so, bear crawls. There's a scout routine that's really hard, and that's the warm up. So anterior core strength, posterior chain, staying super mobile still. I've noticed visible mobility. I've gotten into yoga too, bands and whatnot. So really just trying to be best pitcher. I don't bench or anything. I want to put on muscle, but just maintaining good lean muscle and flexibility, obviously, and just kind of hammering my legs really and like my butt and my glutes, and that's huge for like the hinge and pitching. So just like it's been pretty cool getting baseball specific training, and Schreier, McLean, Alonzo, Treadwell, Jewett, all those UCLA guys, they train there too. I've got to train with the pro guys in a couple sessions. That's pretty cool to see, just like the different motor they have, and it's cool to see guys that work out for their job and as professional baseball players. So just being like, Josh does a great job with that, so shout out to Josh. But I've been bought into that for sure, and it's pretty. But I want to be bigger, moving better, all that. So and Josh does a great job with that.
I had a feeling it was going to be calisthenics and kinetics. I definitely subscribe to that for sure. Well, hey man, generally we ask a question that keeps people on their toes. You've given us 20 awesome minutes. I'm going to spare you of that. But Thatcher, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. You've been an incredibly insightful interview. I'm sure I can speak for Tyler when I say I think you've added quite a few new fans tonight. So we were already big fans of you, man. We're really high on you, and we can't wait to see what you do at UCLA or next July in the draft.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate having me on. It's been fun.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.